Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Derica. I'm a part of the youth internship. I discovered this program through social media and decided that this was something I wanted to be a part of. I would like to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to attend our town hall. We truly do appreciate your support, and we're looking forward to sharing what we've been working on for the youth in our future as well. During this event, we will be explaining the varsity spending plan to those who may not have heard about it to ensure that everyone has a clear understanding of what this is. We're committed to creating positive changes, and we want you all to feel connected to that vision. In addition to this, a few of my peers will be sharing updates on a few other projects we're involved in. We've been working on a few projects that focus on making a real impact for not only the youth, but our community as a whole. We're also excited to let you know about our progress and our plans. We're looking forward to hearing your feedback as we believe that working together with the community is the best way to make these projects successful. There may also be a few performances, so stay tuned for that. Overall, we hope this event informs you about who we are, and we hope this inspires you to make a change, and we're looking forward to seeing you all again in the future. As I mentioned previously, thank you all for coming, and make sure you stay connected with us all to hear about any upcoming events.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maren Bakel, and I'm a member of the Southern Movement Committee's Youth Assembly. I've been an intern with this organization for just over a year, and in that time, I've seen firsthand how it's a place where real change happens. It's where actions follow words and where diverse voices unite to tackle some of our community's most urgent issues. Since I've joined, one of our biggest initiatives has been the Varsity Spending Plan. This plan, led by youth voices such as my own, is all about investing in safer spaces and restorative justice. We've secured funding to expand programs at community centers, establish an Office of Youth Safety, and bring restorative justice professionals into schools. It is a comprehensive approach to youth violence and grabs it at its very root, fostering supportive environments for young people who may need them. However, all in which I had just described is simply rooted in policy at the local level. The SMC and its goals impact people beyond that, as another thing I've observed in my time here is that we work on the ground to directly connect with the people that we try to impact. For example, holding drives, hosting fun events, and the recent TSU homecoming. It makes me grateful to be a part of a team this committed to change, as a lot of these feats have been youth-driven. The fact that students across Nashville have been so engaged in putting an end to things such as gun violence emphasizes that we can do something and we do have an important role to play. It invites us to important conversations and encourages that we don't become politically apathetic in the future. Students are not disinterested in politics. As one myself, I feel that apathy is only a result of a lack of guidance. I believe it is imperative to convey the impact youth can have on politics and the impact politics can have on youth, as every student has a voice and they should always be encouraged in spaces like these, which is just the principle the SMC abides by. Overall, being here has made me and probably many others realize that change is a collective effort with many facets. I look forward to what we will do to come, and thank you for your time.
Hey, relax. All right. Hi, my name is Devin, and I'm a member leader in the Black Nashville Assembly, as well as a youth member of the Southern Movement Committee Youth Assembly. And I'm here like you all are because we want to see change in our communities, and more than that, we want to be that change. That's where the Black Nashville Assembly comes in. We work to build political power for Black folks in Nashville by creating a space for us to address issues that affect our community and work with each other to develop those solutions together, because we believe and understand that we have the solutions and the power to make those changes that we want a reality. We help spread awareness and build power through organizing, policy work, and leadership efforts with the intent to seek justice, equity, and safer communities in our beloved city for generations to come. We push back against destructive policies at city council meetings, held turkey and shoe drives to connect with our folks and provide immediate need where we can. Our biggest victory to date has been the Varsity Spending Plan, designed for us, by us, as a proactive measure against gun violence throughout the city, and as a way to restore relationships between offended parties without police intervention, because we understand that police don't lower crime and that jail is not a true solution to violence. With all of that going on, we appreciate both your interest and commitment to the work we do and have done so far, because seeking a better community is a continuous effort, and we hope that you will be a part of that. See, before joining the Black National Assembly, I believe the lasting mark you made for your community was an individual effort at most, and for some reason I couldn't seem to make that happen. After joining the Black National Assembly, I realized I had only scratched the surface of what change really was, and it's helped me to grow and empowered me to bring others into the work too, removing feelings of stagnation and hopelessness that can come with fighting for what you truly love. If you would like to join us and help work with us, you can go to blacknashvilleassembly.org and apply, and let's get to work restoring our home.
Give it up for our students, our youth assembly members. Awesome. We are so proud of them. I'm Erica Perry with the Southern Movement Committee. I'm just going to go a bit over the objectives and then the agenda. But in the meantime, I do want to give it up for all of our speakers, if you could. Y'all seen, we had young people ushering, doing greetings. Some people are going to facilitate panels. And so just stay tuned. I'm really proud of the work of them, the work they've been doing. So quickly, thank you so much for coming to the Youth Assembly Town Hall, this focus on the Varsity Spending Plan. Today, we really want to make sure that we get buy-in from community members on the work that we hope to do at the Office of Youth Safety. And then we want to get commitment from folks to really throw down with us. And then lastly, what's really important, especially in this season, is that we increase our capacity to practice democracy and governance, right? Because it's going to be up to us as we head into 2025 to build the foundation we need that will sustain us in our practice of democracy and our practice of governance. Yeah, y'all feel that? Okay. So right now we're in the welcome. We're going to have a brief icebreaker. Our young people are going to talk a bit about the Varsity Spending Plan and give some updates. And then we have two panels from some local leaders, decision makers, and elected officials in the city. And then we'll wrap up with a closing and an invitation to join us in the work. That sound good? Good, okay. So really quickly, we have one of our school board members, Robert Taylor, who's here, who I would love to invite to speak briefly before he heads out to support his young people. And so give it up for him as he comes. And as he's coming, I want to thank, give it up for him. Oh, y'all got energy today.
Well, good morning, or good afternoon now. I've been running all day. I'm glad to see so many young people in the house today. We talk about engaging young people, but that's the work that's actually taking place here. And so I appreciate the work that you all are doing. Yes, that's enough for a hand clap there. And I'm here today because I'm supporting you all too. And so if there's things that you all need, let me know. I'm your elected representative for District 1. My name is Robert Taylor. I have kids of my own too. And they have events on Saturday. And so one of my daughters is performing in a school play today. And so I want to make sure I'm there to support her as well. And then I'm representing TSU. My son is playing in the game today. If they win today and they win next week, they potentially will make the playoffs this year, which will be right. I see I got some TSU alums and fans out here. And so we got to support the team too. So when they come back home next week after they win the day, make sure y'all make it to the game, all right? It might be a little cool, so get a jacket. But come to the Titan Stadium and represent. If we need some help with tickets, let me know, and we can try and make that happen too, all right? But thank you all for the work that you're doing. I'm here to support you all. Once again, my name is Robert Taylor. I'm the school board representative for District 1, and I look forward to working with you all in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming through. And so I also want to thank Jefferson Street and Bishop Marble for allowing us to be in this space today. Give it up for them. All right, so now we're going to have a very brief icebreaker from Sterling, who's one of our Youth Assembly interns, and then Nick, who's our community organizer.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sterling. I'm part of the Southern Movement Committee Youth Internship. And today I have an icebreaker for y'all. I want everybody to stand up. And on the end of the pews, there's a sticky note that's either going to be blue or orange. And I want everybody to find somebody with the opposite color sticky note as them. And I want you to ask each other, What brought you here today? What part of Nashville are you from? And what change do you want to see happen in the community?
So just to run that back for you really quick, on the end of your pews, there's a colored sticky note. It's either going to be orange or blue. If you got a blue one, you're going to find someone seated at an orange pew. And if you got an orange pew, you're going to find someone seated at a blue one. You're going to ask them their name, what part of the city they're from, and what brought them here today. All right? Go on ahead.
Yeah, that's what I forgot her name.
All right, good folks. We got one more minute, and then we're going to ask you to return to your seats. So about one more minute, you can go ahead and start returning back to your seats. All right, good people, we're gonna ask that everyone return to their seats, please. We're gonna ask that everybody return to your seats. We love the fellowship. We're gonna keep this thing rolling.
What's up, everybody? Hey! How y'all doing today? Good. I don't know about y'all, but I've never been here before. This place is nice. Nice, very nice. All right, hi, everyone. My name is Mia Willis. I am 23 years old, and I'm a Youth Assembly's intern at SMC, as well as a member of the Black Nashville Assembly. So the question that I'm supposed to be providing to you guys today is, what is the varsity spending plan? Well, I'm gonna start off by presenting it to you the same way I did to City Council to make it simple. By raising hands, who all here has lost someone due to gun violence? Hands down. What about incarceration? All right, hands down. Lastly, what about suicide or mental health issues? Hands down. My story is a lot like you all's as well. With that being said, some of the things you are about to hear may be triggering, some emotional responses, but at the end of the day, it is something that has to be talked about. Not only because these are things we all have been through, but also because we have to recognize that these struggles and traumas within our Black community are not normal, despite how common they may be. Just like many of you, if not all, I have been directly and indirectly impacted by gun violence, our prison systems, as well as mental health. I have a brother who was just recently released from prison this past month after serving 5 years, a handful of childhood friends who are no longer with us due to gun violence, and a brother who decided to kill himself at the age of 21. I don't know about you, but I am tired of hearing stories like these regarding our youth and the impactful lives that they carry. I'm tired of grieving, whether it be someone I know or yet another young soul. I'm tired of hearing every other day or week that we have lost yet another child or young adult due to gun violence with no plan into play of how to fix it. The varsity spending plan is that plan. It is a $10 million plan of hope that will change what our youth see and hear on a daily basis. And if you don't know, the breakdown of the $10 million is $4 million going to community center programming, another $4 million going to an Office of Youth Safety, and $2 million going to restorative justice. Essentially, this is a proposal for an Office of Youth Safety and community support with a focus on restorative justice in not only schools, but neighborhoods as well. Now, raise your hand if you are part of the Youth Assembly at SMC. All right, y'all got ahead of me. I was about to just say, give them a round of applause. So yeah, we thank y'all for your dedication and your hard work, not only in this varsity spending plan, but just being here and showing up. This plan was created by the hands that you saw raised today, from our youth for our youth. A lot of times you hear people wanting to change something, but never asking the people who it directly affects how to do so. They know the change they want to see, so we ask them and help meet their needs through this exact same plan. Now, some of you may be questioning what I just said. What is an Office of Youth Safety and what is restorative justice? Typically, when you hear Office of Youth Safety, it only has to do with colleges and their missions to protect their minors at their college, never in middle and high schools like we are doing now. An Office of Youth Safety is exactly how it sounds. It is an office of people implemented in schools and community centers, trained on how to engage directly with our minors in the conflicts as well as emotions that may arise within and between them. This is a key part of the varsity spending plan, solving conflicts before they even get a chance to end a life. That's why we invest in our youth. Engaging them in constructive programs will give them something better and more productive to do with their free time. Not only that, but it will reduce the amount of violence we see between them and help build impactful skills they may not be learning in school. It starts with them.
Y'all give it a one more time for my cousin Mia. So I'm going to be up here real brief, and then we're going to get straight into the panels. So I'm going to talk about real fast just a couple of updates on the Office of Youth Safety that is in the Varsity Spending Plan. But before we get into it, what do we organize to get? We organize to go get the goods, so that means we organize to go get something. And so this is an update on where we are in the campaign for the Varsity Spending Plan. One, we've been meeting with Metro Council Budget Chair Delicia Porterfield and Juvenile Clerk Lionel Matthews on building the Office of Youth Safety recently, right? And the reason why we've been meeting with them is to make sure that it is built out in the way that our young people saw it to be built out. Oftentimes when we give a win to people in power, sometimes they change that win to only reinforce the status quo. And the Varsity Spending Plan is meant to break that tradition. So we've been working with those folks to really build out the Office of Youth Safety in the way that our young people imagined it to be. Next, we've been meeting with the Mayor's Office liaison since October. Same thing, is to make sure that the Office of Youth Safety is built out in the way that our young people wanted to see. Next, we are hoping to have a director of the office hired by the end of the year. That's the first step when it comes to the Office of Youth Safety, is we have to hire a director, and then staff will follow. Okay? So that is a real quick update on the Varsity Spending Plan. First, I want you to give it up for these young folks who have been working really hard. And next, you're gonna hear from a young person introducing the next panel.
Up next, we have a powerful discussion focused on the Office of Youth Safety's path forward in addressing gun violence and building safer communities. This panel will drive into the strategies and solutions that aim to make a meaningful impact. Please join me in welcoming our panelists.
Hi, my name is Malia Hodge. I go to East Nashville Magna High School. I am a sophomore and I am part of the Youth Assembly. I know we've all experienced a time where we felt attacked or vulnerable. Our moms getting on us, our dads, or our siblings, anyone who we typically look up to. And there are two paths that people can go down to either cope or handle with situations like that. Either they start keeping their emotions and feelings to themselves, or they will find a friend or someone else they feel will understand them. In this case, I went down the path that led to me keeping my feelings and emotions to myself. And trust me, it's been a journey. By doing that, it led to me dealing with mental health problems and trust issues that I now have accepted into my life because I've adapted to it and felt like it was too late to speak up. When I found out and researched about the Office of Youth Safety, I wish I had knew about this program when I was younger, because I probably would have been able to handle my mental health and situations I was experiencing better. So, my role in shaping the Office of Youth Safety has been being a voice for people my age during the construction of this plan, making sure we're really getting what we want and need. I honestly think I hear a lot more talk about how bad gun violence is in our communities, but not much consistent, effective action following those words. I see police and jails and other systems replicating that, but with a different name. I think being a part of SMC has given me a chance to be a part of a sustainable change. I think the Office of Youth Safety should have the comfort that your local community centers do, but have more to offer and provide in terms of direct service and strengthening the community. The Office of Youth Safety does cover everything addressed, I believe, or fully be able to if the Office of Youth Safety was allocated the full $4 million through the city budget. Then we will be able to get what we want so we can do our part to get what we need. I think we'll do our part best to listen, heal, and help our communities from the inside out, instead of relying on other systems and people who are often doing more harm than help anyways. So it's important we continue to monitor and stay up to date on what's happening and who's in charge in office, because it can be very easy for our power to be shifted. So we need to be prepared as possible legally so we can get to the goods physically. Thank you.
Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. I'm Zena, and I go to MLK, and I'm an intern at the Southern Movement Youth Committee. Growing up, I had a friend that was relatively struggling more than others. I always supported her through her troubles, but I was never really able to help her. With her, I've been through 3 bomb threats, 2 gun appearances, and with the Office of Youth Safety, we'll be able to help prevent things like that from happening. Allowing kids to find different solutions to their problems, helping children feel safer and heard. The Office of Youth Safety will focus on teaching problem-solving skills and restorative justice practices to the youth of Nashville, as well as protecting children from violence. Before the Office of Youth Safety, there was presented to the mayor's office organizations like the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the OJJDP, Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, attempted to put a stop to these same issues. The CDC wants to support parents and assure that the youth have homes, and the OJJDP works to reduce gun violence and remove guns from the hands of young people. But both organizations focus on teaching not to handle a gun, rather than focusing on teaching problem solving and restorative justice practices so kids will never feel the need to handle a gun. To ensure that this remains something that continues to honor the vision and demand of community members, we will continue to address surveys and other sources of public opinions.
Can we have the panelists introduce themselves?
I think I'll go first.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Thank you all for having me. I'm Brittany Irby, the Senior Director of Civic and Community Engagement for Mayor Freddie O'Connell, and I have been working with these good people for the past couple of months, so I'm excited to be here.
And I'm Lionel Matthews. I'm the Juvenile Court Clerk and have been working since this summer with the Southern Movement Committee on helping to stand up the Office of Youth Safety.
Hey, y'all, I'm Erica. I'm with the Southern Movement Committee and have been working with these young people and our members for the last year to build out the Varsity Spending Plan and the Office of Youth Safety.
What has been your role in shaping the Office of Youth Safety?
So, as y'all know, in January, we started with a people movement assembly to build out the Varsity Spending Plan, and a part of the thing that came out of that was the proposal for Office of Youth Safety as a way to address gun violence and as a way to really get to the root causes of the harm and the ways in which people are showing up in our community. And so I've been working alongside members by organizing. We've been doing a lot. It's a lot of writing, a lot of research together with the folks in this room, and then quite a few meetings with folks around the city, along with Brittany and Lionel. And so really it's been quite a bit of meetings, actually, and reading. Yeah, it's been lots of meetings.
I guess I'll go next if we're going chronologically. My role has been to be an advisor and consultant. I thank the Southern Movement Committee for inviting me to be able to lend my expertise and experience. I've been working in Metro government for 17 years in various roles, not just in juvenile court, but I served on the Metro Council for 8 years, worked in the mayor's office for 3 years, and now have been in the courts for 3 years. And taking my court hat off, just being able to kind of advise on government and how to stand up an office within government, to be advising on budgetary items, how budgets are spent within government, how they're planned out, how legislation and how do you document the work of an office, and thinking about the hiring process for not only the director but other staff that may come and join the office after the director has been my primary role.
So my role, the mayor tapped a few of us on the shoulder to develop a task force. And I want to shout out Dr. Watisha Lawless-Mitchell back there. She is our Director of Child and Youth Initiatives and has been sitting at the table with us every step of the way as well. So I want to make sure we raise her up as well. But our job has really been to walk through the process and infrastructure piece, right? I see us as the quarterback. They have really been doing the work up front along with you all to build the foundation, develop the plan, move it through council, advise, and now our role really is to make sure we get this across the finish line. I tell my team all the time, it is not our job to go out into the community and tell them what they need. It's the opposite. So when I heard you all saying, ask us what we need first and then go do, that's exactly what we're here to do.
What has been done before to address the violence that young people experience, systemic and intra-community harm?
I'm looking at my predecessor here.
Could you repeat the question?
What has been done before to address the violence that young people experience, systemic and intra-community harm?
Sure. So Nashville has a history of attempting to address violence. I'll start off by saying that we have to sit back and actually listen to the community about how the community defines safety. And that has been defined in different ways by different generations and different communities throughout our community. And Nashville has had a Youth Violence Summit, which I was fortunate enough to be able to facilitate and conduct in 2016. We've had numerous programs that have addressed issues like employment, youth employment in the city. We've had programs both in school and out of school by different agencies or nonprofits that have been supported through government or through investments from government into communities. I will say that everything that we've done up until now has been very fragmented in the way that it was implemented. So it was certain agencies implementing, but there was never any real coordination around community and really being led by community. And that's why I see the Office of Youth Safety having the potential to be a different solution that has been proposed to address youth safety, is because it's first community-led, it's coming from the community, it's envisioned by the community, but it's also being envisioned to be that coordinating and convening agency that could bring different groups and resources and investments together to make sure that we have a coordinated effort toward addressing youth safety.
I'll add, our office has definitely been picking up on the work and foundation that Lionel laid years ago. Dr. Lawless Mitchell has been doing a phenomenal job. And I always say it's great to have subject matter experts at the table, because I know when to say that is not me. But she has really been dedicating her work to finding opportunities and working closely with Lionel and really being about being preventative, right? Finding ways to engage before the things happen. And so that has really been the focus of us, our office, is just to be proactive, not reactive, and making sure that we can actually point to real-time programs, initiatives, opportunities to be able to provide our young people.
Yeah, so what we have understood to kind of be the work that has been done to address gun violence, especially as young people have experienced. One is, folks have been advocating around gun control. That's one thing we've seen. The other thing we've seen is the work that Lionel and Brittany talked about. And then in addition, I think we have to, for us, we have to be really grounded in the landscape and how we got to this moment. And so we have to look at the 1994 crime bill, right? And how it was really focused on incarceration and policing as a solution to harm, and how that actually failed us. And so we have to use that as a lesson to say that we actually want to do something different. And I've seen the city, like some of the work the city is trying to do is like after school programs, and that's been going on for a while, jobs programs, and we want to see those significantly increase along with the work of the Office of Youth Safety. The other thing that I think is really beautiful about the work of the Youth Assembly of the Southern Movement Committee, the Black National Assembly, is that we really wanted to be innovative in how we thought about addressing harm. We wanted to clock lessons from the work that had been done across restorative practices, restorative justice across the country, and even in Nashville, and build that up and scale that. And so there's some work that we can build on in the city to complement the work of the Office of Youth Safety, and work that is up to us to innovate and build together. And so many of y'all have already spoken about that, what that work could look like, but we have to be building on things and really lean into our imagination, because the work of the Office of Youth Safety has not yet been done even in this country, although there's work we want to build on.
How is the Office of Youth Safety different and how is it similar?
Well, here, like I think you touched on this. It's different because it has not been done before. I think what I love about our community, we don't just say innovative, we actually mean it. I love the fact that we are dreaming outside of the box to really start addressing these issues. I also think this is different because to Lionel's point earlier, us working in silos and folks doing the work over here, over there, clearly, we've got some room to really improve that and bring all of those resources together to actually move some things forward. So I'm excited about the fact that this office will really be a hub for a way for us to move forward. And it's also, this has just been an amazing journey to watch community, government come together, work together to say, one, the community said there's an issue. Two, we listened, we heard, we did something about it, and now we're pushing it forward. They were laughing at me earlier. I was like, let's check this off the list so we can continue to invest and pick up the next big issue in Nashville, because there are plenty. So I'm excited about the movement, but this office has not been done before. We have the opportunity to be a game changer for what this looks like throughout the country, and once again, it is being driven by the community. That's the important piece.
Yeah, I think Erica definitely hit it on the head when she said this has the potential to be a national model that hasn't been done before. Just to expound on that, and to add clarity, there have been other cities that have attempted to do something similar in name, doing things around youth safety or to address gun violence in communities. Most of those initiatives, and we've researched and we've gone, one thing that government does when we are innovating within government, first we look to peer cities and others that are or may have done this work. And so we've looked at other cities and models that we could draw from or potentially. All other offices of youth safety or anti-gun violence offices in other cities have a police or law enforcement focus to them. And so I think that that's something that's very unique that needs to be uplifted and called out about the scope of this office, is that it's not to be reactionary when violence happens or to respond to violence happening in our community. It's really to try to prevent violence from happening in the first place. And that's something that is, I think, very unique about this particular proposal that I'm really proud of, and something that I'm willing to support 100%. Just anecdotally, so last night I had an accident, car accident, right? I was rear-ended, and it happened. I was getting out the Bradley Parkway exit on Ash City Highway, about to turn off. Guy hit me coming off the off-ramp, and I pulled over. I got out of my car. Immediately, the guy is saying, "Hey, I'm about to pull over. We could make sure we get everything settled." Really nice guy, but he was a younger guy, right? About in between 20 and 30. He immediately comes over. We exchange information. He's on the phone with his fiance. She sends him the insurance information. He sends it to me. And the first question, I get on the phone with my insurance company, one of the first questions they asked me was there a police report? And in my mind, I was like, there was no reason to involve the police unnecessarily. And I think in general, in our community, we have to get out of the mind frame of looking at the police as solutions for everything, especially when it comes to safety. And that's why I think defining safety and the way it's defined is really important.
I think, one of the ways, just to build on that, I think what y'all said was so right. To build on that, one of the things that I think is really different in what the Office of Youth Safety is doing is also that we really wanted to embody participatory democracy. And so every single step of the way, from even how we landed on the Office of Youth Safety, was that we used people moving assemblies, we used mass meetings, we used participatory budgeting, community engagement to make sure that this was people-driven and people-led, and accountable to the people too. So I think that's one thing that's significant. The other thing is that, this is a piece that should happen before it even gets to the police or even gets to courts, which is why it was important that we met with people to say we need to make sure that this is non-police, non-courts, so they actually can prevent things, and so we can spend the amount of money we need and the resources resources we need to prevent it from even escalating to that. And those are kind of the differences I'm thinking about. The other thing I want to name is that we made a commitment to co-governance, which is right, it can be a risk, but it's a risk that we had to take. And so for us, we were really clear that we wanted to work with the mayor's office, we wanted to work with Lionel, we wanted to work with actually Councilmember Delicia Porterfield, who's an at-large council member, couldn't be here today. But since we spoke to her in June, I think it was May actually, we started having conversations about this in May, she made a commitment to championing the Office of Youth Safety and was true to that work. And so for us, we've been saying that the Office of Youth Safety and how we're building it and how we even got the money for it, really recognize the role that democracy can play in shaping our lives. And so as we think about, what the election and how, at some points it's like, some of us didn't get what we wanted out of it. And at the same time, we saw the Office of Youth Safety be a model of what it could look like to embody democracy. The other piece of it that I think is really important, and I'm putting my organizing hat on, is that how we get to the Office of Youth Safety is because we have mass meetings. We have conversations about what safety is, because some people's first instinct when they think about safety and what to address gun violence could be actually policing. And so we had to do that really relationship building, those conversations to make sure we landed at a way to really get to the root causes. And so that is what I think is what's also really significant in how we have seen policy be driven, how we have seen solutions come, is that this is democratically led. It does not involve police. It does not involve jails. It's a true preventative measure. And then also it's youth-led. It comes from the visions of young people and being really clear about what's going on in their schools, what's going on in their communities, and how do we actually really create those solutions. And so I want to shout out young people for really driving this. Give it up for them. Because I'm not in the schools, right? I don't have to go through metal detectors, right? I'm not, some of those things I don't have to deal with as a 35-year-old. So if we want to have strong solutions, we got to talk to the people most impacted by the issue. And so that's another huge thing that I think makes it different, along with the kind of programmatic work. And lastly, I'll say is that we approached this work with quite a bit of humility. Like, we invited people from all over the city to come into building this out. We had a convening at the library a few days ago where we invited partners from across the city and across the country to be like, how do we develop this model together based on the feedback, the input of our people? How do we work with parents to build it out? And I think that is extremely revolutionary in the sense that it is something that we do not see practice. To have humility and be like, we have to take a risk to really build something that has not been done before, because we know we need a solution that does not yet exist.
There have been a number of studies and surveys. So does the Office of Youth Safety address the concerns mentioned in those surveys and studies?
So I'll speak on this piece and then pivot. So it will always go back to the community will dictate the work that we do, period. I stand on that. I will always stand on that. We've got to ensure that we are bringing in the voices. But yes, there have been studies, there have been surveys. Nashville loves a study. We love a survey. We love a task force. I refuse to even use that phrase anymore. I'm starting to use implementation groups because we've got the solutions. We just need to put them in motion. But with that being said, we really did just complete a survey, Imagine Nashville, and that surveyed over 10,000 Nashvillians, and really, they talked to over 2,000 youth throughout the city, and 40%, y'all, 40% of our youth said that they do not feel a sense of belonging in this city. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. You wanna know why? Because you all are going to be sitting where we are. You all will be leading us into the what's next. And so if you are not feeling like you are grounded, supported, embraced in this community, we've got a really, really big issue. So I know one of the huge directives coming out of my office as we look forward to 2025 is we will start having regular conversations, and not when we need something, right? Not when you need to go ask the community, well, this bill is coming up, or we have a huge initiative we want to push. No, I want you all to anticipate and expect that we will always come ask you what you need. We will go on listening tours to make sure that we are constantly hearing you, because we shouldn't always approach the community when we need something. You all should just expect that we will always be there, period. So this office is once again, another vehicle, another avenue for us to just get it right.
Shout out to Brittany. So yes, I'm gonna go back to the 2010 Children and Youth Master Plan. So Carl Dean was mayor at that time, and he commissioned the 2010 Children and Youth Master Plan, and it was a plan that addressed safety as one of the components or recommendations coming out of that plan affecting young people. Fast forward to the 2016 Youth Violence Summit, there was a report, and restorative justice was one of the six specific recommendations that came out of that report. What we ended up doing with that was creating a restorative diversion program that was planted in courts. And so arrests and police were still involved. Police would arrest, but pre-petition going to court, it would be diverted back to the community. This takes it a step further to eliminate the need for courts and police and saying, we're gonna swim upstream, we're gonna intervene at a earlier point of conflict to try to prevent conflict from escalating to the point where violence even occurs. And I think that that's really special in this plan. Restorative justice, although it's not new to the world, it's still a fairly new concept to the Nashville community. There are plenty of communities throughout the city of Nashville that don't understand restorative justice or misunderstand restorative justice to the point where they will refuse to support anyone that speaks about it. And so I still think, even though the Varsity spending plan is being implemented, there are resources that have been dedicated to it, there's still a lot of work to even educate the community on what restorative justice actually is and how it could actually benefit our community in the long run to prevent violence from even occurring.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, this gets to the some of the surveys that they have named. There was a 2016 Youth Summit too, right? The 2010, and then the Imagine Nashville survey. And then, of course, other folks have been doing surveys around, like, what do we want to see happen? How do we address gun violence? The other thing that feels really important to name is that if, restorative justice is a new concept, how we shape the future and not, reducing our reliance, the scope and size of policing is kind of new. And I think what's really true as folks who do organizing work is we're not going to be able to get out of organizing our people and having conversations with each other. Because a part of safety is those conversations, is building relationship with people. And so I'm thinking about the surveys we did where we've been at Hadley Park always got something going on. And so our members, our helicopter crew, which is like the folks 18 to 26, the BNA members, show up and they survey people, they talk to people, how do you think about safety? And so this is a product of that as well, along with the petitions and the surveys we've been doing. So I just wanted to name that, the best solutions come when we organize our people, when we have those conversations, and when we're in relationship with each other so that we can be vulnerable about how we've been impacted by harm so we can really come up with strong solutions.
Erica, if I could, too, I do want to interject just one more point. The Center for Disease Control, they have been tracking death by gun violence for decades, and it has been the leading cause of death, specifically for black males ages 14 to 26 for decades in this country. And Nashville is no exception to that. And so if we're looking to any type of data or information gathering, that should be the first place that we should look, or the lives that have actually been lost to gun violence and the case that makes for the Office of Youth Safety being created.
What will you do in your capacity to bring forth the mission and programs of the Office of Youth Safety?
Yeah, I'm committed to doing the organizing work to make sure that it continues to be something that's community-driven, community accountable. I'm committed to using democracy as a vehicle to really, shape the future and transform the city through innovative ideas like the Office of Youth Safety, through people moving assembly. I'm committed to showing up once a month to the youth assembly trainings with the young people in this room. Shout out to y'all. I'm committed to that. And I'm committed to working alongside folks like this. I think the other thing that is genius about, when we really embody organizing, when we really embody democracy, is figuring out who has a similar vision or there's overlap in our vision and working with those people. Because sometimes things can be done in silos and it's like, oh, I don't want to work with this person, but I think I'm committed to showing up with humility and innovation and taking the risk, evaluating our work and coming back and continuing to shape it so that it's something that's worthy of our people and our future.
That part, Erica. I think my role is, I told you, I'm a quarterback. This office, clearly, we are proposing that it live in the mayor's office, right? So that means like we have a responsibility to, one, ensure that it is threaded throughout all of the larger initiatives that we have going on in the city. Our responsibility is to make sure it is resourced properly, right? And I keep shouting her out, but this work is so tied to what she is already working on in an effort to, once again, parallel path a lot of this stuff that we're doing and not operate in silos. I think the work that Dr. Lawless Mitchell is doing on my team, it has to go hand in hand, right? So we can make sure that we are doing our due diligence in government to sustain this far past us. I tell folks, my job is, I'm on a time limit up here, right? The mayor is only seated for one term. He might come back for two, but in that time, our job is to innovate, pilot, and then figure out how to sustain it beyond what I'm doing right now. So my job is to really figure out big picture, how to make sure this outlives me sitting in this seat.
And my commitment is first to work with community to support the effort of standing up the office, but sustaining the office, as Brittany just stated. I'm not naive to the fact that I work in court, so I'm committed to regardless of my position, not co-opting the work that is being done with the Office of Youth Safety and really supporting the true mission and goal for the office and the scope of the office, and continue to be able to advise and help the office navigate government and to really plant roots in government that will eventually grow into community entanglement and working with nonprofits and other organizations and agencies in the community to really build out the infrastructure that are truly going to make our youth safer in this community.
What can we expect from the Office of Youth Safety?
Well, I'll go first. I'm always going to lead with a stay tuned, right? Because I'm not sitting in that director seat. And I've had this conversation with Erica, Mike, Jamel, Lionel, Delisha before, that I don't want to completely build out a scope, because I think that is really the role and the job of the person sitting in that seat to be able to shape it. But I think one important piece that I will always go back to is that you all sitting up here play a really, really, really big part in that scope. You all play a really big part in the programs and initiatives that will get pushed forward. So once again, my role is to support and make sure that they have what they need to be able to move forward. But I am always hesitant to shape the work to come because it is not completely mine to shape. So I want to leave space and room for that person come in and be able to do so.
Yeah, I agree with Brittany. I want the director to really have the runway to cast their vision for how the office will be led. I do have a couple of hopes, though. All right, and so I do hope that, and this is a long-term vision, right? So I think our expectations need to be set that the Varsity spending plan did not get all the resources it was asking for. So one of my hopes is that we will be able to make the case for full funding of the spending plan going forward at some point. Another hope that I have is that a roadmap or a framework will be built for the city of not only how the Office of Youth Safety is addressing, but how partners and other people can join in that work with the Office of Youth Safety. That's going to be really important. We tend as a community to always look at either one agency or a handful of agencies and kind of lay our problems at their doorstep and say, hey, you all solve these, when it really should be community. And this has started from community, and I hope community stays involved throughout. And so that framework, I think, will be really important for this office to build out, but they need to build that out with community at some point, and I would love to see that eventually.
I think I think I have ideas on what I hope the Office of Youth Safety does, and it's based off the conversations we have with community members, the conversations we have with youth leaders, and so a lot of it is really based in conflict resolution, right? It's crisis management, and then the other thing is really being a thought leader and a trainer when it comes to restorative practices for folks who work with young people. Recognize that conflict is a part of life, right? But there's a way that we can ensure that it is generative and does not evolve into some type of harm or gun violence. The other thing that we really think about is making sure that it is a place where we can come up with a comprehensive plan to address youth safety, right? And so that feels extremely important because, as Lionel said, it's been taken on different shapes, but if we can come up with a consolidated plan, I think we get closer to our vision and our goal of significantly eliminating and reducing gun violence. And so we gotta be really clear that the mandate, right, is to address gun violence. It's to stop gun violence as it concerns 14 to 26-year-olds in the city. And so that there's a number of ways we have to go about doing it, and I understand, I'm laughing, right? I understand in the work that we've been doing to practice code governance that it takes time to build those things out, but that the main goal is that we significantly reduce and eliminate gun violence in the city, and that's a lot, right? That takes quite a bit of work, takes commitment from every single person in here to engage in it for the long term, right? That's work that we have to do together, and so that's what I hope the office does. It begins to build out that programmatic work, and that eventually, right, the work of an organizer is to work yourself out of a job. And my hope is that we see a future. Yeah. I hope that
one more time. Say that one more time.
The work of an organizer is to really work yourself out of a job. And my prayer, right, that keeps us going when it gets really difficult, when we lose young people, when things don't look like they're taking shape. My prayer is that there's a future that exists where gun violence is not an issue for our people, particularly for people 14 to 26, 14 to 25 in Nashville. And so that's the work we have to do, right? And as organizers, as people in this room, we have to continue to move government to really embody that, learn our lessons, evaluate what's going on, and then continue to keep doing the work.
How do we ensure this is something that continues to honor the vision and demand of community members, both in practice and longevity?
Oh, that's accountable? I'm just going to, spaces like this, conversations like this, emails, calls. Robert Taylor, who is not here, he just had a conversation with me, and I said, yep, and we're going to follow up. Hold us accountable. We have a commitment to the community to make sure that we are carrying out what you want to see, what you hope, what you dream, what you want to see in your community. And the only way that we do that is if you call us out, call us up, and call us in. So I would hope that we continue, one, making sure that voices are heard, but then two, not just heard, but what are you doing to make sure that we are pushing some stuff forward? So that will always be my answer, accountability.
I agree with that 100%. I will also say the community is accountable for always staying at the table and making sure that you have that seat. There will be, in the formation and in the build and trying to build this out, really, there will be people from within systems, especially criminal justice systems, that will come to the table with the Office of Youth Safety, and they won't have probably the same level of support that I have for it as a person that's coming from within or speaking from within the system, right? I talked about not co-oping or government not co-oping. What the intent is, I think that community has to be proactive in co-oping other communities and reaching out to other communities and bringing them into this work too. Making sure that communities that may not understand or misunderstand what the intent for the office is or the vision for the office is, making sure that they do understand clearly what the vision for the office is and that they can be brought on as support so that anyone in government or anyone in leadership beyond the current leadership will not be falling back or giving in to the pressure of other communities trying to take over this work.
I love this question because a part of organizing is thinking about implementation and making sure that it's something that we see exists for the long term. Before I answer the question, I do want to let folks know we're going to take, we have about 10 minutes left for questions from the audience, and so our youth organizers in the back are going to pass out. If you have a question, raise your hand. They're going to give you a sticky sheet and a pen to write it out, and then we're going to collect it. So my team in the back is going to start passing out those sticky sheets. If you have a question, raise your hand for us. Thank you so much. Oh, awesome. We got questions. Okay. So how do we make sure it remains community driven? Is that the question? Yeah, that summarizes it. Okay, yeah, I think we have to keep doing things like this, right? A part of the town hall was to check in with our community, check in with decision makers, check in with the people we've been working with to really think about where the progress of the Office of Youth Safety and where we're going next. We'll have a town hall again in February. I think it's, February 22nd. I'm just previewing, forecasting the year. But we have to keep doing things like this. Again, sometimes we forget that democracy is a muscle. It's an ongoing activity. It's not something we can just do once a year. But to really govern our community, we have to keep having things like this. We have to continue to be in conversation, and it has to be a practice. And so I think that's a huge piece of it, really building out those things and holding institutions accountable while making sure we are having consistent conversations and continue to organize our people. For the question. Thank you for the clap. I guess folks are writing out their questions. That sound good? Do y'all have any other questions? First, give it up to our facilitators. Shout out to y'all. Y'all are doing a phenomenal job. Do y'all have any other questions for us? No, ma'am. Okay, thank you. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. And while we're waiting on the questions, I do again want to shout out Budget Chair Delicia Porterfield, who's a council member at large, who couldn't be here today, but has been in we meet. Okay, 5 of us meet twice a week, right? And then we meet with the mayor's office once a week. And so there's quite a bit of work on building it, along with, we have those meetings, then we meet with the community, right? And then we meet with other folks who we hope to consider partners. And so I just want to name and shout out all the work that's been going into this as we wait for folks to bring in questions. And one of the folks who I do want to name is who couldn't be here today was Councilmember Delicia Porterfield. And I know that if she could be here, she absolutely would be here today. And so I just want to give it up for her real quickly, if y'all can, in her absence. Okay, we got questions. I'm proud of us. And we on time. Give it up for us for being on time. Come on. Okay? Shout out to us. All right, you can come on. Thank you so much. Give it up for our Youth Assembly ushers. Thank you. Okay. The first question is, how can community organizations and community leaders support during this time? You want to take
Call us, email, text, the whole 9 yards, right? We are building the plane while we're flying it. So if you have a thought, if you know of a program, if your organization wants to lean in, if you have some folks that want to get connected and they are not sure on how to do so, let us know. Absolutely, we want to hear from you.
Yes, and one of the things that we have been discussing as we've been planning the implementation of the office is to do a think tank after a director is hired. And that's going to be an opportunity for community to meet with that director, get to know that director, but also hear from their vision and give them feedback and input on what the office or the implementation should look like. And so we don't want to make all these, like we said, we want to give the director some runway. We don't want to make all the decisions for them and just tell them, hey, we're putting you in this place, but we've already given you all the direction that you need. You just follow the plan. We want them to be able to build the plan, and we hope that community leaders and organizations will be ready when called upon to work with the director to help build out that plan.
Absolutely, I agree. And then additionally, if folks are interested in just like the organizing piece of it, and so we think about the inside versus an outside game, the outside part of it, the organizing, our team is down to meet with people, both to collect like the lessons and understandings of what has been done before, but also to be thinking about how we can continue to take shape. Then I think the other piece is we like continue to organize in Nashville to address, all the issues. Is like how does this overlap with the issue of housing, right? As it concerns young people, how does this overlap with the work that has been done around mental health issues? And so just thinking about that, want to be in conversation. And then there's a question around CDC data. Where can we find that?
So the Public Health Department, Lentz Public Health Department, they have staff that are dedicated to following and researching that data. They can provide that for you. That's where I first found out about the data. And they're always tracking that data and have access to the Center for Disease Control.
Dope. And then there's a question on how is Metro Schools involved or will be involved?
Yes, so y'all heard from board member Taylor. Metro Schools will definitely have to be at the table, right? You can't house 85,000 of our children and not be at the table. So as we build this, as we move it forward, please believe that they will definitely be entrenched in the conversation to make sure that, once again, this work is not siloed, but is deployed in several areas of the community.
And I believe I saw Anthony Hall walk in. Mm-hmm. Is he still here?
Yeah, he's on the next panel, actually.
Oh, okay. So I know that Southern Movement Committee has been meeting with Anthony Hall, who works at Metro Schools in the Student Support Department. And there is ongoing conversation because the schools run their restorative justice or restorative practices work. And there's been a conversation about what conflict either starts in school or starts in community, and there needs to be some communication between the two, because sometimes it starts in school and spills over in community. Sometimes it's vice versa. It starts in community and it comes into school. And so when we talk about coordinated effort, that's what we're talking about, having the Office of Youth Safety be able to convene and pull all of these agencies together to make sure that we're not working in silos or fragmented.
Yeah, and I would agree. It is. We've been meeting with Metro Schools. So many of our students attend Metro Schools, and so there's no way to address gun violence and harm in our community without involving students, parents, and the institution of Metro Schools. And then I think we have 5 more minutes. We have a question on. I'm gonna combine. One is, what keeps you guys driven to helping your community, specifically the Black community, and why should people keep hope for a better future? I'll start. I think what keeps me driven, actually working with young people keeps me driven. They have great ideas, energy. They're going to keep us hyped. Shout out to Yasmin, who's our hype person, right? I think that's a piece of it, and because I just know there's a future where our people are free and whole and healthy, and so I just think we have to walk that future and build that future together. But I have quite a bit of hope. I also do a lot of praise and worship and prayer. I'm gonna name that too. That's a piece of it. But being in community is another huge piece of it. Really relying and leaning on community, and that's the invitation we've been making to our people for the last few years.
Yeah, Erica needs a shout out for that one, because I wholeheartedly commit that it is not lost on me that we are in a church. Faith plays a huge part in this work for me, but also this. The funny thing is, I was sitting right where you were when I was your age in Chicago. That's where I was born and raised, and my mother, single parent, but she made sure that I was involved. I learned how to get involved, and I actually ended up shadowing my council person. when I was in high school, and talk about sitting next to them and questioning them why they made the decisions that they made. I was like, but why is money going here, not here? Right? Why is this school not getting X amount of dollars, but this one is? And so I think that started at a young age. But I mean, what keeps me driven is that I want you all to do better than we're doing. I love the fact that I look at children and those in my circle coming up and beyond. I do this for them, not just for me. I need to make sure that we are not just leaving a better Nashville, but if this can be a domino effect and ricochet way beyond Nashville and inspire people to do more, I want to. And the work that I get to do, I'm blessed that I get to do it with folks that are just as driven, just as called, and I will always tell y'all, God definitely keeps me going and driving me to get up and make sure that I'm walking and living in my purpose, so yeah.
Come on, purpose. So I'm driven by empathy. You know, my young brother was a victim of gun violence. I have had guns pulled on me personally, and I've been in the position where gun violence has affected my family greatly, and I don't want other families to be in that position. I'm motivated by the young people that are here because you all are more active than my generation was. You all have more opportunity and access than my generation ever had, and so I'm really motivated by the potential for what the future looks like, and the future is sitting right in front of me, and so I'm driven, but I'm also motivated to continue in this work.
Awesome. And I have I think 2 more questions. One is, why do you think this work is important to you? And then, do you believe that the issues that youth experience stem from their household and community? And if so, do you think that their reaction is a way of outputting what they've experienced? I will say this, I'll start this off, but this work is important to me for the reasons I named in the first, question is that I just want to see people be healthy and safe. Again, empathy is another thing, and then also, it's really difficult to live in this city without having, I think in this country, without having had experience some type of interaction with gun violence and the prison industrial complex. And so I think it really comes from a place of wanting to be safe, needing my family to be safe and whole, and believing that all of us should have access to that. And then I think that the question on youth in their household, I really have an answer around, when we had our People Movement Assembly in October, young people named that they wanted their parents involved in classes and trainings when it came to conflict resolution and restorative justice, and that people are doing that work across the country. But folks want to, think about parenting and thinking about how do we take what we're learning in schools and in a community into our homes. And so I think young people have an idea on what that looks like, because they want to make sure that their parents are involved in the work that they're doing and thinking about how they address conflict and restoration. Yeah, my bad. Here you go.
Sorry, y'all. We got to read the question again.
Thank y'all for the questions. They're great.
Absolutely. The issues that youth experience definitely come from adverse childhood experiences. If you understand ACEs, if you know about ACEs, the environments that we grow up in, the households that we grow up in, and anything that adversely comes into contact with us, any adversity or trauma, will result in the people that we ultimately become. And so the youth experience is definitely shaped by the communities and the families and the environments that they grow up in. And so I think one charge of the Office of Youth Safety is going to be to make sure that there are organizations and supports and resources out there to help make sure that we are creating positive environments. We're creating or we're promoting healthier and safer communities, and we're supporting families to be able to support the young people and their experiences.
Yeah, I agree, and I did want to name that I think that the household is one thing. The other thing we have to really recognize, which is why we talk about intra-community, like harm within our community, but also systemic harm. So like the lack of resources, the lack of access to what people need is another issue, which is why we really have been talking about investing in real solutions. The last question is, what does co-governance look like, and how can we ensure this office is sustainable given the current political environment, like the recent removal of the Community Oversight Board by the state?
Yeah, that second part. Let me.
I think I can start off. When we talk about co-governance, again, this is a practice, and I always say practice. I say practice democracy, practice co-governance. For me, that comes from like law school and being like the practice of law. That it is not something that we have yet perfected, but something that we continue to grow our muscle in, do together, right? That we see the lessons, we see the challenges, and it helps us sharpen the way that we practice co-governance, practice democracy, practice organizing, right? And so when we think about co-governance, we take from the work that we've seen across the world, right? This is not a new concept, but that we think about it is the meetings that we have with elected officials, it's the work that we build together, it's being held accountable by community members, and that is like building out infrastructure to really practice governance together. And so that's kind of the way we think about it. And the level, one thing we talk about with the Office of Youth Safety is that we want to think about where's the level of involvement of the Youth Assembly, of community members, right? That it has to be something that is community driven and community accountable so that it is sustainable. And that goes to the way that I was thinking about the second question is, after we woke up on November 6th, I was like, oh, okay, how does this impact our work together? And so I think what we, again, committed to was leaning in community and leaning into organizing, that, landscapes may shift, but our commitment to each other, our commitment to our vision, we cannot move away from that. And so I think that's a big piece of our work as organizers, and to think about what should we anticipate and how do we protect each other from that, both in our work with the Office of Safety, but also in our, our organizing, our community building work.
Yeah, Erica, that's a really good note. Y'all, I've been wrestling with those results of November 5th. I still have not fully processed what any of that looks like, to be honest, but I will say a conversation that we have been having in the office, and I've had this conversation with the mayor. The work that we are doing now is even more urgent. I don't think that we let up off the gas even a little bit. If nothing more, that has lit an additional fire under us to make sure that we continue to do what we're doing right now. We continue engaging. We continue finding resources for organizations to keep digging in, doing the work, making our communities better, because we are going to need it. So I say that to say urgency is the one word that comes to mind now. Like, we have to keep doing this work. We have to keep fighting. We have to keep pushing forward, because if not now, then when? So, yeah.
And I'll just add a little bit to that. Nashville has always been we've always been a leader in the state and not a follower. We've never looked at other cities or other counties for what we should be doing in Nashville. We've always set the standard and the mode. The current political environment, even with November 5th, it hadn't really changed for us because this is Tennessee. Tennessee has been run by conservatives. I won't get into parties, but Tennessee has been run by conservatives for decades now. We have lived in this environment. We play in this environment. We work in this environment. We have to be the answer that we are looking for. We can't look for the state to support this, and we can't expect for the state to support this. We really should expect for the opposite. They're gonna come down hard on any initiatives that remotely resemble that they're supporting any type of diversity, equity, or inclusion, or focusing on communities that may be marginalized in any form or fashion. And so, when I think about the situation with the Community Oversight Board, I think about an old platitude in the hood, and it goes, I hustle for my last name, not my first. And it's a different lens when I put it on that situation because Community Oversight Board had a name when it was first created. It has another name now. But regardless of what we call it, the work that is put there to do and the accountability that the voters of this county voted to put in place is still there, and the heart of that has to be still there. This work is the same way. This was done with the heart of the community driving it, and no matter what challenges, barriers, adversity we face from the state, we have to make sure that we lead with that heart in this work going forward.
We want to thank each panelist for participating. Give it up for the panelists.
Thank y'all so much. What's up, y'all? I'm Mike Floss. I'm the Arts and Culture Director with the Southern Movement Committee. How are y'all feeling right now? Okay, I'm gonna need more energy because we got some performers coming up. How y'all feeling right now? Okay, so we have two incredible poems from our Youth Assembly members, Yasmin and Genesis. I was gonna say Jasmine and Genesis, but that would be backwards, wouldn't it? It would. Yasmin and Genesis, y'all give it up for them.
Hi. My name's Yasmin Bailey. I go to Early College High School. I've been doing a self-written poem titled The Conversation. We are alike. The way I bleed, you bleed. The way I speak, you speak. Like Malcolm X, he speaks for the people. But X marks the spot to be gunned down. Black boy, black body, but it's black and blue now. Black gun, black taser, but you only grab one to determine my life now. Can we talk? Hands up is all I know before I'm face down on the ground. Before I'm in the hood of a car with unlawful search now, what do you see? Black car, black tent, oh, they sell drugs now. Black shoes, black street, but it's red now. One house down the block, but the mortgage isn't mine now. Can we have a real conversation? How are we alike? I guess because we both have something black that's a weapon. Young boy growing in adolescence jumps at the sound of sirens. Even if their body is laid bare for you to see if they're strapping, they seem to match the description. Black hoodie, black mask, white face. 5'11", but the criminal 6'5". Unjustified, but justified because he looked like a threat. He had a gun in his pocket, later revealed grabbing from a dead body a pack of Skittles. $1 determining his life. Now, can we have a real conversation? Black mama, crime scene tape, has to stand far away because it's an active crime scene, doesn't even know what's happening, but has to cry thinking the worst. Automatically, her mind unearths into these demons that just leave her mind rapidly, and she falls down in tragedy, believing her baby boy was only a baby when he was gunned down. But she has to leave it in the past now to understand why her baby boy was seen as a man. Why her baby who used to hold her hand across the street was seen running without looking, a baby whose autopsy reveals foul play. She has to stand in court still to this day to prove her son was still a baby. Black father, handcuffed wrist, has to keep a brave face for his kids as he's face down, has to be read his rights as his kids cry now, when are you going to listen? Black on black, planet like crack in a known felon's trunk. Don't trust no one but know enough to have your wits about you. You're only 9, but I think you can handle this conversation because you have to. Cops aren't your friend. Know some plan to see your life end while others plan to look for something deep within to charge you. Don't breathe. Don't flinch. Turn down the radio. Don't be belligerent. Hands on the dash, wallet in view. Don't reach for anything or it might be you. But don't breathe turns into I can't. That restraint ends to be your knee on my neck. I could scream, but you would tell me 3, 4, 8, 6, be quiet. Statistics of my people's dying rate don't even cause you to bat an eyelash. Maybe because you want us eradicated. I can't sit tight and sleep right, knowing at any moment you could come in under assumption that when I need real protection, you're holed up, then I'm where you always wanted me to be, gone. The more I think, the more I allow it to occur to me, the more I'm filled with an anger that can't be relieved, the more I want you to look me in your eyes as you tell me, what statistic am I? Am I the 1% that stay alive or the 99.9 that die? Thank you. You can take this.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gigi Walker. I'm a freshman at Martin Luther King Academic Magnet School and a part of the Youth Assembly. And this is my poem called The Varsity Dream. In the heart of Nashville, where shadows grow tall, a new seed is planted to answer the call. With hands stretched in hope, 10 million dreams rise, reaching towards futures that touch the skies. No bars, no chains, no courts with cold stone, the city invests in lifting its own. In young eyes ablaze, the spark to be free, in families and neighbors, the strength to believe. They say gunfire fades where trust is made strong, where roots of support can right what went wrong. This is more than a project, more than a name. It's the reclaiming of lives without fear or shame. For Nashville has chosen a path of its own, a way where seeds of peace are sown, where each hand in the circle from young to old finds warmth in a mission that's brave, fierce, and bold. This is the varsity, the rise and the start, a promise to mend each fractured heart. For the cities of this street are safer tonight, as Nashville commits to the power of light.
One more time for our young people. So we've got our next and final panel coming up. If our panelists want to go ahead and come to the side of the stage, our young people will be bringing you up here shortly. Y'all give it up for the Youth Assembly.
Our next panel will explore how we can come together to implement community-based solutions to address urgent challenges. This conversation is all about collaboration, partnership, and collective action. Let's welcome our panelists as they share insights on working together for stronger, safer communities.
Hi, how are you all today? My name is Deanna, and I'm a youth organizer at SMC. I'm glad you all can make it today. Before we begin, I'll share a little bit about my background. I moved around a lot growing up, including a time where I lived in Memphis. If you know Memphis, you know it could be a little different. One day while I was at school, a student brought a firearm into the building. And although there were metal detectors that you had to walk through before entering, it was still relatively easy to sneak things in. This made me feel unsafe and scared of the possibilities that could follow. As a community, we should work together to ensure the safety and security of all young individuals and those coming of age. One person alone cannot make a significant difference. If we collaborate, we can create meaningful change. Today's panel will focus on how agencies like MMPS and Parks, along with the Office of Youth Safety, can work together to make a difference. Our speakers will share insights about how their organizations can contribute to safety and restorative justice. They'll also explore questions about how parks, schools, and community members can support each other in addressing youth safety concerns. To break the ice, I invite you all to share your own personal stories, experiences, and roles in supporting these important goals. To wrap things up, I want to emphasize the importance of community collaboration. Working together as a community allows others to bolster their strengths and perspectives to tackle more complex challenges effectively. Lastly, I would like to extend my gratitude to all of the panelists for their commitment and dedication, as well as you all for your participation and engagement. Thank you all, and have a great rest of your time.
Hello, hello. I promise I'm part of the Youth Assembly. This just makes me look older. Y'all know what I'm saying? Hello, everyone. My name is Gabriel Blake, and I'm with the Youth Assembly as a youth organizer. Today, I will be sharing a personal story on the effects of not having a positive community around you and the surroundings. I played outside with the other kids in my old apartment complex while in elementary school. The other kids seemed different than me because they seemed to use swear words every other word when they talked to one another. Even though we were all playing games, they seemed angry about something. I wondered if something at home was making them feel this kind of way. Those kids, if they were in more positive community environments, the children would have a more positive outlook on life. Today's young people will speak on how agencies such as MNPS and Parks and the Office of Youth Safety can help make a change. These organizations can contribute to positive change to build a better place for everyone. Safe spaces for everyone to enjoy and bring people closer. Locations such as schools, parks, and community members can help support these people and protect the children of tomorrow. Take a moment to think about someone close to you that could use assistance to grow into a strong individual. What kind of role can you play in their lives to achieve such dreams? Community collaboration develops solutions for all perspectives. We are stronger together, and no one should have to face their hardships alone. Thank you for your time and all of your consideration.
Before we start asking questions, I would like all of our panelists to introduce themselves. Sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Travis Claybrooks. I am the CEO at Rafa Institute.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Terry Vo, and I am the District 17 Council Member.
Good afternoon. My name is Anthony Hall, and I work with Metro Nashville Public Schools as a Restorative Practices Coordinator for our district.
So our first question is, what has been your role in shaping the Office of Youth Safety and a varsity spending plan?
Okay, I'll start. Thank you so much for the question. So a big part of being on the Metro Council and serving the community is setting the budget. And so my first budget, I am really proud, getting to work on the Office of Youth Safety and the Varsity Spending Plan was getting to meet with Erica and the team, discussing what you all really wanted to see from your leaders and from Nashville and what the future we would like. And I think what was so great is being led by Councilmember at Large Delicia Porterfield. She is the budget chair, very important role. And with that, she really led a series of months where it was open meetings where you could come, listen to us, debate, discuss various things. And so we were committed as a council and those who were involved in the budget in supporting and creating the Office of Youth Safety. And to be able to do that, you have to put it in the budget. And that's really critical. So anything you want to make happen, if it is not in the budget, it does not happen. And I think that's really critical. And I do want to, make aware to you all that all the work that you all did, Varsity Spending Plan, it did not just happen overnight. This was actually years, and I think that's really important to know that oftentimes when you see things finally happen, it was years of advocacy, years of leadership from people who may not be in those seats today, but they planted those seeds. And so I'm really proud to be part of a council who listens to their constituents and who really wants a budget that reflects the city more.
Our next question is, what has been done before to address the violence that young people experience, systemic or intra-community harm?
Would you say that again, please?
No problem. What has been done to address the violence that young people experience, whether it's systemic or in their community?
Thank you. I'll say from an MNPS standpoint, it was Dr. Battle's vision 2 years ago, 3 years ago, to have what we call peace centers in every middle and high school, right? In those spaces, those are spaces where when young people become maybe dysregulated or just need a trusting adult, they can go to those spaces, they can find some self-regulation strategies. There's an adult in there to help coach them through those strategies, someone to link them to other resources, both in school as well as in the community if need be. Also at the elementary tier, we have advocacy centers. and it has a trauma-informed approach to it. And so with the younger kids, we are helping them and helping our staff to learn more about the trauma that sometimes some students may face so that we're better equipped to support them and help them to be able to help themselves. Those are two of the initial things, but we've also done some things around like making sure that kids are just not suspended from school for certain infractions. So in that Peace Center at the middle and at the high school tier, we have what's called a reset space. And in that reset space, that stands for restorative environment supporting educational and emotional time. And at that time, in that space, students can be there opposed to being on the streets. They can get their work done. They can have a nurturing adult. They can have some social emotional time with an adult in that space. And finally, one of the things that we've done is for certain offenses, some kids could have been expelled from school for 180 days. What Dr. Battle, what our vision at MNPS was, is that kids don't need to be home for 180 days. They don't even need to be in an alternative school for 180 days. If we have an opportunity to meet with not only those kids, but also meet with their parents. So on Saturdays, we have what's called the first time behavior support class. And again, it's one opportunity for a student and the parents, it's a two-generation approach, to come for 5 hours to sit down, parents on one side being supported, students on another side being supported. And so if they complete that class, that they're successful with that, then those students are now able to go back to their zone school versus either being in an alternative school or being at home in the street. So those are some of the things that we're doing at Metro Nashville Public Schools.
And I can talk about it from Rafa Institute's work in the community. Over the last 7 years, we have been facilitating restorative justice processes at the intersection of juvenile court. We get cases referred to us, everything ranging from home burglaries to homicides. And instead of prosecution, people have the opportunity to participate in a restorative justice process in response to the harm that has happened. And what this affords both people who have been harmed and people who have caused harm is, one, an exit from the legal system, which we know is a trauma. And if you're a young person, it's an ACE, it's an adverse childhood experience. Furthermore, what we know from our traditional criminal legal process is that in most cases, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for the person who's experienced the harm. It doesn't work for the person who's caused the harm. We, in our culture in the United States at the very least, have defined justice as punishment. We equate justice with punishment. And we say that accountability equals incarceration. And we believe somehow, or have told ourselves, that if we incarcerate people, we somehow will be safer. But if incarceration made us safer, we would be the safest nation in human history. But we know that that is not true. Furthermore, people who have been harmed by violence, typically from our experience, want something other than for the person who harmed them to be incarcerated. They really want just the thing to never happen to them again. They want that person to never do that again. We know that young people who cause harm, don't just wake up one day and say, I think I'm just gonna go out and kill somebody today. Or I think I'm just gonna go carjack somebody today. Typically, there's something else that's happening in their experience. And so through the restorative justice process, we get an opportunity to engage with a person who is causing harm to try to get at, hey, what is really going on with this person? Typically, it's a housing situation, it's a healthcare situation, oftentimes a mental health situation. Sometimes it's an economic situation that's driving it. Sometimes it's just not having the right supports around them. And so we work to help young people get access to the resources that they need to do something different, to make different decisions, to think about what it looks like to account, yes, for the harm that they caused, but also to transform in a way such that they do not cause that harm again. Since 2018, we have worked with over 219 cases that have been diverted. Of the young people that have completed our process, only 2 have been convicted of new charges in the criminal legal system in 7 years. I tell our district attorney and our police chief, you all have way more repeat business than we do. So let's continue to try something different. So we believe that that helps to improve safety when a young person who may have caused harm gets an opportunity to have that harm addressed in a different way other than simply isolating them in the criminal legal system, in such a way that they don't cause any more harm. That increases safety, that reduces recidivism. So that's work that we're doing. It currently is expanding into the adult criminal system. We're going to begin in January working with the 18 to 26-year-old age group. We're also we'll be piloting our first case in Shelby County next week. So very excited about the work that's happening there.
Okay, so our next question is, how can the Office of Youth Safety collaborate with your office, and what type of collaborations are possible?
I'll just kick things off. And so, the Office of Youth Safety, I feel like they've been diligently working, and it's a collaboration with everyone, with the mayor's office. I saw Brittany here earlier, with the Davidson County Juvenile Clerk. I saw Lionel Matthews, and with the Metro Council. I think it takes all of us really working together with you all, with the Office of Safety, because what does that look like? What kind of leader do you need? And so with us, whenever we're creating these policies, creating this framework, it needs to be the voices of everyone, and especially the community. So I think that's the biggest part. And, I think that, what collaborations are possible is that our hope is that we build the framework that is strong so that then whoever is hired is someone who everyone is really proud of and that they are able to do that work. And I think that's really critical. So all of us as leaders, I think, we want to build a frame that really speaks to what solutions we want to make possible without handcuffing, without, making that person feel that they can't do what they need to do. And I think that's really critical when we all work together.
I would add to that, to echo a little bit of what you just said, the same thing, is that for Nashville to be a community of change, a community that we will open up our doors like Jefferson Street Church has done today for other entities to open their doors so that we may be able to provide training for our community, parent education, extracurricular activities, vocation training, college and career readiness. I feel like all of those things are things that we can do. We can partner. Obviously, we can open schools. We have staff that are there like myself and others that can come out, that can partner with the community to assist in those things. So those are things that I think that we can do, certainly partner with Parks and Recreation and other community agencies like RAFA.
Yeah, thank you for that, and thank you for the question, because I think it elevates. All right, let me just go on and say it. We, especially in our community, have struggled at times to work together, and for lots of reasons. Some of those are external reasons, some of those are internal reasons, some of them are just plain petty reasons. But I think we have an opportunity to do something great, and I think the leadership in this space so far has done an amazing job of bringing community members, organizations, both system partners like MMPS, like City Council, as well as community organizations like ours, and invited them to the process, to the work, to think with. And I see myself as a thought partner in this space, someone who brings a particular experience in working with systems and system partners, and I would say successfully working with system partners and continuing to do that as a practitioner in the space of restorative justice, which is a focus and emphasis of the Office of Youth Safety. I think we have experience to offer. And so I think there's an opportunity for us to demonstrate what it can look like when democracy is working very well, and how we can build a thing together and how we can support a thing together. Yeah, there's oftentimes competition over money. There's competition over who gets the credit. There's competition over territory and who's working in what neighborhood and who should be working in what neighborhood and who should not be working in what neighborhood. But again, this is an opportunity to really elevate front and center that the #1 cause of death among children 18 and under is bullets for all children in this country. And that has been true for Black children for almost 25 years. That is what is most important, and that should drive us to want to work together. It is an epidemic level problem in our neighborhood and in neighborhoods like ours. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, and we at Rafa Institute, Jamaica Usher, one of our restorative justice practitioners, is here. We're grateful for the opportunity to partner, and we are 10 toes down committed to being a partner and a good partner.
All right, our next question. How can community members and other agencies support your work to address the youth-based harm in our community?
I'll go first. I think the biggest thing that I would love from each of you all is to just ensure and make your elected officials, your community leaders accountable. And you all can do that. And I really do ask that you all be steadfast in that, because it is so important. We can wish all these things, we can work towards all these things, but when we're talking about youth-based harm, I think about my first year in office, and we've had too many deaths, in District 17, and too many youth that have died from gun violence. And, I really think about that, and I sit and think about what are solutions that we can do. So for me, with the Office of Youth Safety and the pilot being at Napier Community Center, I've been so enthused. And I think that, for me, I went and talked to the Napier Community Center, talked to the staff there, and, wanted to know what issues are they seeing, what things, can we improve. And when the staff told me that, all the programs at Napier are free, there is no financial barrier to participate. But they weren't seeing the attendance like you would expect, right? You're thinking, okay, it's close, there's no financial barrier. But families and parents were feeling that even if they did the program, when they finished, it would be dark. As we know right now, 5 o'clock, you look out the window, it's so dark, and the parents didn't feel that their children would be safe. So if there was not transportation, they're not gonna take their kids. And when I heard that, I was thinking, well, that needs to be in that budget, when we talk about solutions, because all of the programs, we have to think about it, for me, holistically. What are all the concerns, right? Some people are just thinking, well, if we provide them, it'll be okay. But it's so much more than that. Even walking 100 feet is worrisome for some parents, and I really want to address those concerns. And I really want it to be where we work together and face these fears so that we can overcome them. I think that's the biggest thing. I don't want us to succumb to fear and say, because of that, we're not going to do anything. I want us to be able to say, because of this, we're going to find these solutions so that we can work towards having the kids being able to walk back home after their programs. So I really ask for each of your accountabilities and your voice, because sometimes from my perspective, I may not see the same issues that you all see, and that's really important. And that's why I think internal, external views are so critical, and I really ask that of you all.
Yeah, I think, thanks for that, Terry. I think also, or to add to that, something that community members just, as a whole can do is imagine with us, these young minds that are exploring and, participating and coming up with new ideas and alternatives for solving very difficult challenges that they face day in and day out. They're coming up with new ideas that work. Listen to them. Give room and space and support and encouragement to ideas that are being tried. Even when an idea flops or it may not work as well as we thought, right? Continue to support, continue to say, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. But the reality is we can no longer pretend that we don't know what to do about violence and about violence that happens in our community. There are organizations around this country and around the world, but I'm speaking specifically in the space of, restorative justice, for example, that helps to reduce the amount of violence that happens in communities. We know these things work. They work far better than what we've tried to do. And I think oftentimes there is a resistance to try something new. I call it the tipping canoe conundrum. You're on the water and you're on the canoe, and that thing starts, it feels like it's starting to turn over. And the first thing we do is grab the canoe as if that is going to help us not turn over anymore. But that's the very thing that's turning over. Sometimes when violence happens in our community, we want to go back to the thing and double down on the thing that we've known, like incarceration, like prosecution, but that's a tipping canoe. It doesn't work. It's not going to prevent the thing that's happening. So let's continue to lean into trying something new. And that's not really I don't know if that's really a concrete thing more than it is just an attitude of support and encouragement and giving new ideas a space and a place to live.
And just to add to that very briefly, great comments. Look at today. This is the moment. Let's seize this momentum. Let's seize this momentum. Let's look at opportunities like this to find other people to be champions in this work. Let's train other people so that this is truly a community across all of Nashville, that there are safe spaces, there are places, whether it's churches, whether it's community centers, whether it is just street corners, wherever, Boys and Girls Club, whatever, but we train people, we train parents, because one of the challenges, again, would be that if we're training students certain ways to respond to, again, for me and for what we do in Metro Schools is that restorative practices is not something that we always do afterward. 80% of what we train staff on, what we believe is the proactive work. So again, by having mentoring programs, by having extracurricular programming, so that young people, so that their parents can have places that they can go, you can have dialogue other than gunfire. So let's seize this momentum. Let's continue to train. Let's figure out how do we have maybe a community situation where we can make referrals. So if things are going on in community, there's a safe place. There's an anonymous way that a family maybe can go and say, hey, sometimes it's not cool. I grew up in neighborhoods where it wasn't cool to go say, hey, I don't want to fight, I want to talk. But a place where that is healthy, that is the norm. And again, I truly, truly, truly believe that seize this momentum, but we also have to make this a 2Gen approach. We can't just allow it to be about just the students. We have to work with their parents as well. So training parents in these spaces also. Thank you.
All right, and for our last question, what can you do in your capacity to bring forth the mission and programs of the Office of Youth Safety?
Well, I'm going to keep being an advocate. I'm going to keep being a voice. Budget season is just around the corner. And so I think it's really important that we keep pushing and that we keep making this a top priority. And I am committed to that, especially wanting to see the programming start at Napier Community Center and something that we can really talk about and show action from that. And I do, I think for me too is I want us to always was shared up here is that, being open to different ideas, being open to different things that we've seen and experienced it. So out here, who is in 9th to 10th grade? Raise your hand. Awesome. Did you know that y'all can be a student ambassador for our city? No, right? So I want to tell y'all, I think one thing that's really important is that we need to see opportunity, and I want to give you all opportunities, and I think that's something in my role. So we have an organization in our city called Sister Cities, and we have student ambassadors, and this summer, for 2 weeks, you can go to Germany or France or Argentina and represent our city and learn from other youth. And I think that's something I want us to feel and know that there is so much work we've got to do. And I want y'all to know that there's opportunity for you too, to grow and learn and meet other people like, youth in other parts of the world. So you can come back and realize, hey, people live differently and it works. And I think we need to hear more of that when we leave our own places, when we leave our own spaces. I think it's really important. So if you're interested, just come and talk to me afterwards so I can give you the information.
Yeah, and I think for us at Rafa, it really looks like being a, as I said earlier, a willing partner. As the Office of Youth Safety emerges, as a director is selected, continuing to participate in, the design and the kind of, think tanking that happens that goes into it, but also when it's time to put boots on the ground, if there's a space that the Office of Youth Safety feels that we can fill, that we be willing to lend our resources and our expertise to actually do that, and also to be a space. I think one of our areas of expertise is training. Training in restorative practices, training in ACEs, training in implicit bias and unconscious bias. We do that around the country and have gained a lot of experience in that. So I think that that's something that we can bring to the table. But again, not necessarily driven by what we feel like we can do, but really being a listening partner to say, hey, what does this office need from us? What do the young people need from us? What does the community need from us? And then equipping ourselves to be able to step into that space and meet those needs as they emerge.
Again, being an advocate, and also I have a young spirit, so if I can give Argentina this summer, I'll go also. I have a young spirit. For me, this is not just about Metro National Public Schools. I do this before I was in this role. This is ministry to me. This is who I am. And so for me, again, being an advocate, being a thought partner, being a mentor, whatever the case may be, just being a supporter, being a cheerleader for young people and for our community as a whole.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a few questions. Yes, give it up for them. Give it up for our facilitators. Awesome. We got a few questions from the audience. If you had a question and you want a note card, let us know. They'll get them to you. I think we just have two. Well, actually three. I would love for Travis and Anthony, if you could explain the difference between conflict and harm, and then also the difference between restorative justice and restorative practices.
the way we look at it in Metro Nashville School, restorative practice is just that. It is a set of practices. So again, being intentional about how we greet students in the morning, being intentional around creating environments for students to learn when they learn differently. So mentoring, peace centers, regulation spaces, advocacy centers, these are practices. Having an area in a classroom where students may be able to go where they have fidgets, having people in places that are titled as restorative practices assistants. So having trained staff that can be on the spot, that can, again, serve as mentors, serve as role models, to be proactive, to have conversations with parents around what students may need. Versus restorative justice is for us more of, hey, you committed an act on an infraction against our discipline code, and we believe in separating the deed from the doer is the best way to say it, is that, hey, you're not the act. We're going to welcome you back, and we're going to put these supports around you, whether or not this is a social worker, whether or not this is a trusted adult, whether or not this is a tutor. If this is some things that your parents may need in the community, we have Community Achieves that will work with parents, that will work with other people, Parent University. So again, we believe that the practices, these are who we are, at essence of who we are in Metro schools, to be able to look at everything, as I like to say, the other side of the report card, to help with attendance, to help with the behavior, but also provide training for the adults at the school system. And then the justice piece is just, again, it's the accountability piece, but again, we believe in being restorative and not punitive.
Yeah, restorative justice, restorative practices, these are, at one level, they are words, and words are designed to help communicate ideas. And so I will just join Anthony in communicating the ideas, whichever way you want to apply restorative justice or restorative practices. At Rafa Institute, we think about restorative justice as an ethic. It's a way of thinking. It's a worldview. It's how we see the world, and it's how we move in the world, that says that people matter. And it does not matter what has happened to them or what they have done. People matter. And that when harm happens, people deserve to have that harm accounted for. And it does not matter which side of the gun you're on. That accounting must happen. It cannot just be, it can't just go away. Incarceration and prosecution is passive. We never really account for the harm that has happened. And so what emerges from that ethic is a set of practices. How do we do that? How do we account for that? And so that's how we think about, restorative. We do a whole class on this, so ain't no point in trying to get too deep in it right now. But on the question of conflict versus harm, this is also a heavy subject, but there is a difference. We think, once again, at Rafa, we think about the difference between conflict and harm this way. Conflict is when we have the same amount of power and we just disagree about something. We have the same amount of power and we just disagree. We church members, and we disagree about what color the carpet should be. We have a conflict. We got the same amount of power. I can have my opinion. I want it to be blue. You want it to be red. We have the same amount of power. Harm is when there is what we call a power disequilibrium. There's a power imbalance. You are exercising power over me in an unjust way. Now harm has happened. Let's use an example. I steal your car. I have exercised power over you that you did not give me permission to do. I took your autonomy from you. You didn't give me permission to take your car. You didn't want your car took. But I took it. I did that to you and over you. I created a power imbalance. Now we're in the world of harm because I have disrupted your psychological safety. I've disrupted your psychological contentment, your sense of wellness, your sense of predictability, your sense of relatedness. I took power over you in an unjust way. Now we're in harm, and now that's where we introduce restorative justice, because now we have to, first of all, we have to restore the power equilibrium, and then we have to address the fact that you created a disequilibrium. And we got to deal with the psychological impact of that. So conflict can escalate into harm. When we don't address conflict, like I want the carpet to be blue, you want it to be red, and you was arguing in the meeting about it being red, and I was arguing in the meeting about it being blue, and I got mad at you because you wanted to be red, and I went out and slashed your tires, that conflict has now turned into harm. So not all conflict is harm, but all harm typically is related to conflict. And so the idea, kind of bring this back, the idea of having conflict resolution and spaces where we can deal with conflict. You know, two people like the same guy, two people like the same girl, we in conflict. Well, that can instantly get on the social media and start turning into something else. And then next thing you know, we got some harm that's done happen, right? So if we can deal with the conflict on the front end, then we can avert having the harm. So that's how we think about the difference between conflict and harm.
Thank you so much, and I think that naming those differences are helpful when we think about the work of the Office of Safety and what collaboration could look like. And then I have, I think we got 2 questions. When you think about the work of the office, what are you most excited to see succeed?
I'm really excited to really center youth in our city. I think that's so critical. You all are our future. You know, I think the decisions that we make today affect, you know, we really see those in 10, 15, 20 years. We all know that. The things that we're dealing with is not because of the people that are in elected office today. That was people who made decisions even the previous or 2, 3 terms before. So, you know, for me, I'm so excited because I really hope, you know, and I love that we are really centering you all, what you want to see, and that those changes, we know that, you know, it's going to take some time to see, but it's because of our youth, and y'all are our future. So very excited for that.
I echo that. I'm excited again about youth resolving their own business. And the second thing that I'm even more excited about is about seeing one of these youth take my position. Seeing them step up when I'm retired and I'm on the golf course and I'm coming sitting out there and I'm clapping for them. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, ditto to all of that. And I think also that our city is taking this issue of violence that's associated with youth seriously and formalizing a response, a coordinated response. You know, we are all these organizations, and mine included, we out there talking about it, we need to solve it, we're trying to solve it. But now having a central office that can really coordinate these efforts and make it front and center, and then we can actually see a different future. Like, man, what if we could wake up one day and the headline is, no children were killed by bullets this year. Like, I mean, can we see that? Can we really see that? I think we can, and I think this is a huge step in that direction.
Thank y'all so much. Yeah, give it up. Come on. That's a beautiful headline. I love that. That's really material. And here's the last question is, I think that IEPs or 504 plans are very important for a student. So does the restorative practice help to identify the needs of the young person?
That's not exceptional ed is not a area of my expertise. However, what I will say is that as a restorative practices clinician, is that we are there to support kids at all three tiers, and in schools we call what's called multi-tier systems of support. And so at tier one, that's what everyone is. We're there. There's one of the restorative practices assistants who's actually sitting here right now, supporting at any way that we can at what we believe that's tier two. And I know this is this is not necessarily language that everyone in the room understands, but I think for everyone in the room, they should have some basic knowledge of, is when Anthony Hall is a student in your building and I just might need, a mentor. I ain't quite doing too much, as the young people say, all right? I'm not doing quite too much, but there's someone there that can step in, that can sit with me. We can create some SMART goals. Someone can encourage me, all right? And then level three is where we get into tier three, I'm sorry. Tier three is where we get into talking about 504s and exceptional ed. And there may be a place again for someone to just sit in that meeting with me and my parents, so that the parents know. Again, one of the people that I worked a lot with at Napier, Dr. Watisha Lawless Mitchell back there, I can never say enough, because when I was working and serving and supporting the Napier community with her, no matter what we did, she always made sure that parents felt comfortable, that students felt comfortable to have someone like a restorative practices assistant to be there and make sure that it is clear that your role here is to be a support and be an advocate for this family. So again, I'm not the expert to get into like 504s, how they work in exceptional ed and all that, but I will say from a school perspective, restorative practices assistants and other professionals like this, we do sit in on meetings, we do advocate, we bring in, partner with community partners if there's a need, partner with other people across the school settings such as social workers, school counselors, community chiefs, people of that nature, to be an advocate and be a support.
Yeah, and I'll speak to that too, because frequently young people on our caseload have 504 plans. And oftentimes what they are experiencing is that their 504 plan has not been fully supported. And that's not a criticism, sometimes that just happens. And our facilitators go into those meetings to help advocate for and with that young person to say, hey, this is what this young person needs. In fact, their behavior in this moment that has brought them into this restorative justice process, or has gotten them, or they've gotten into trouble in the legal system, is a reflection of the fact that they have a 504 plan that needs to be supported better. And that they should not be suspended from school or expelled from school. No, they actually need more support on their 504 plan or the IEP. So yeah, that's absolutely a part of as Anthony said, most of the time young people just need, if they get the support that they need, they're gonna be fine. 99% of the time, if they get the support that they need and access to the resources that they need, they are going to be fine. And so providing that certainly is an aspect of restorative justice and restorative practices.
Thank you so much for that. Give it up for the panel. Thank y'all so much. We appreciate y'all. Just really grateful to have y'all support in the community as we build out the youth safety. And you look great in your shirt. Thank you.
Y'all give it up one more time, not only for the panel, but for yourselves. Okay, so we are going to wrap a really nice bow on this present. We have two of our young people that are going to be our last speakers. So before they go, I want you to really give it up for all of the work that these young people have put in.
Good afternoon. All right, we're going to try that again. Where I'm from, good afternoon is the call and response. Good afternoon. That's better. Okay. My name is Micah Dixon. I am with the Southern Movement Committee Youth Assembly. The drive towards safer, more supportive neighborhoods is strengthened by every action. Action that I take, action that you take, and action that is taken by the person next to you. When local agencies, schools, and community members collaborate to develop broad strategies, community safety is most successful. Schools can collaborate with neighborhood groups and agencies to offer mental health services, jobs training, mentorships, and restorative justice techniques like peer conversations and conflict resolution. These initiatives lessen the need for harsh penalties by teaching students and young adults empathy and accountability. Local organizations can concentrate on prevention in the interim, addressing underlying factors such as trauma, poverty, and lack of opportunity while giving support to individuals impacted by systematic oppression and/or crimes. The community as a whole gains from a more proactive, inclusive approach to well-being when youth are included in decision-making and given the ability to influence safety effects. Continue to be active after today by endorsing laws that prioritize community safety first, lending time and/or resources to neighborhoods initiatives, or offering suggestions on how to make your community better. Whether it's supporting a community program, mentoring a young person, or raising your voice in advocacy efforts, remember that when we all do our part, long-lasting change can occur. My name is Micah Dixon, and I would like to have something like this in my community, not only for me, but for the ones who come after me. Thank you for your time.
My name is Xavier Crimes. I'm 15. I attend FRA, which is a private school, and I'm going to be talking about youth safety. In my opinion, I feel like youth safety is important because if the youth has safety, they can grow up in a positive environment and live a good, healthy lifestyle. This is really important because the youth can pick up bad habits and use them throughout their life and can possibly get them killed or in a bad situation or possibly be in jail. Also, community members, schools, and local agencies can collaborate by providing assistance to one another, benefiting each other financially and resource-wise, also including the students, while providing them with resources required for schools and communities and etc. Support a restorative justice and ensure that safety initiatives honor community needs and values impact the community because it shows where errors are in the community which can be fixed, like shootings, littering, bad community, impoverished people or families. This can all be changed by having restorative justice and community needs.
Hey y'all. Are y'all having a good time? Okay, my name is Moya and I go to MLK Junior Magnus High School and I'm in 9th grade. I'm an Assembly Youth member. When it comes to community safety, my journey has been a bit long. I've always loved to talk about what work needs to be done to make our community safe, and I have been persecuted for it. People have tried to take my voice away, but I refuse to be quiet about the things that matter, such as safety in our communities. We should feel safe everywhere we go. If not everywhere, then schools really should be the bare minimum. Schools, work, home, the bus station, and more. All these places, should be safe, but I know from personal experience that it's not. I love my school, but I don't feel safe there most of the time because I've been through a lot through that school, from bomb threats to gun threats and more. It's scary to know that if someone is feeling wicked on a random day, they could pull out a gun and harm a lot of people. It's the same thing with the bus station, except that's a bit scarier. Lives are at stake when our community is lacking to this degree. However, when I look at our communities, I see people who know how to have fun, people who know right from wrong, and people who want to help their communities grow. Schools and local agencies can help by donating to our cause, and you all, as community members, can help by learning more about the Varsity Spending Plan and by getting involved, whether it's volunteering or supporting policies or just voicing your opinions. Nothing is too small. Things that may seem little can strengthen a larger movement because there is strength in numbers, and if everyone does something small, it's bound to make a difference. You can take the first step by showing up to our community dinner and celebration on Tuesday, December 3rd, and our State of Black Town Hall on Saturday, February 22nd. And to our youth, y'all can also get involved by showing up to all these events and by applying for the Spring 2025 Youth Assembly Internship. If we all work together, we can be the change we want to see in our communities and create a brighter future for everyone. This isn't just a fantasy, these are our lives and our communities at stake. Next steps include staffing the Office of Youth Safety, launching a restorative justice pilot program, and developing additional programming citywide. When we work together, we win together, and when we win together, we change the world. Thank y'all so much for your time, and thank you for showing up.
I'm so proud of our students. I'm so proud of the beautiful work y'all have done. And thank y'all so much for coming out and, really listening and honor their voices and being in conversation with decision makers in the city. And so that's the conclusion of our program. I need all of our students to come to the front. We're going to take a picture, but also we got to check out with our community organizer. I want to shout out our staff and our members and the parents who really put in so much every single day to make this work possible. And so again, thank you so much. Come out to our celebration community dinner. We got free dinner, and we're gonna be talking about our next steps. All right, peace, y'all. When we work together,
We win together.
when we win together,
We change the world.
awesome.